Hey, it's Stacy Roney, and I want to welcome you to my webinar on how to become an effective recruiter. We really do only two things in this business. One is share product, and the other is sharing the business opportunity. So we're going to focus on sharing the business so that I can help you build your team. First, let me just welcome you and share a little bit about my journey. I've been with Rodan & Fields now for 8 years. And when I first joined this business, I came into it very confident that I could recruit because I was a beauty industry recruiter by trade. Let me tell you, this business is very different than a traditional recruiting job. I've realized that if you don't develop the skills, I can't expect to be a top leader. So like any other business, you've got to learn it. No one is born with a direct sales gene. So like a lot of people in direct sales, when I first joined, I immediately started reaching out to my warm market. And I was so excited because I knew what I had found. Like I literally felt like I had been handed a winning lottery ticket. And so I was calling people and I literally would just start sharing every detail about the business on that first call. And these conversations would go on for 15, 20 minutes, and they were very much one-sided, okay? My prospect wasn't even saying anything, and I was literally just talking. And nobody was interested in joining me. So after about 2 weeks went by, I reached out to my mentor, Rose Gallo Rojas, and I said, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Nobody's interested in joining me. And, we really didn't know a great system back in those days because it was very early on, okay? We joined early on when, we didn't have a lot of systems in place. There weren't a lot of trainings available. And so it took us a while to really figure out how to effectively recruit. And once I started following the system that I'm going to share with you today, I recruited 18 consultants in 6 weeks. And so I hit level 5 within my first 4 months in the business, and I became the top recruiter within Rodan & Fields that year. And since I've recruited over 150 people, so I'm going to share with you this system that I think is most effective, and let's go from there. Okay, so here's the 4 steps. The first step is who are you going to reach out to? Okay, so we're going to talk in more detail about how to create a list. The second step is sharing your why, because honestly, when you share your why, that is going to be more effective than sharing all of the business information up front, okay? People buy why you're doing what you're doing. So it's that old adage, stories sell and facts tell. We're going to start with sharing your why. And then the third step is what? We want to share a third-party tool that really explains the business and our product. And then the fourth step is the how. How can we get them on board? How are we going to help them be successful? And we're going to do that through a 3-way call with your upline. So the first step is creating your list, okay? You need to think about, first and foremost, who do you love and who do you want to help? Not who can you get, all right? This business is about helping other people. So start with the people you care about most. Then add everybody else that you know, okay? Go through your phone, your Facebook, your old Rolodex from work, whatever you've got, go through it and start adding names to your list. Don't think about who you think is going to be interested, okay? Because I'm telling you, the people you least expect are going to be the ones that are going to see it right away and jump on board, okay? Sarah Robbins, the top earner, used to work for me, never reached out to me when she and her mom, Chris Fairless, who also worked for me, joined Rodan & Fields, because they assumed that because I already had a very successful business, because I had 3 babies in diapers, I was too busy to want to add another thing to my plate. But they were wrong. I was very, very interested in earning a passive residual income and being able to get off the hamster wheel that I was on. I wanted to have more time freedom with my kids. And so don't prejudge. And also, there's going to be people that you know that you might be thinking, oh, they would not be very good at this business, or I don't think I would really want to work with that person. But let me tell you something. Behind every dud is a stud. Okay, so add them to the list because you never know who they know. Another key point is that once you add somebody to your list, you don't ever want to remove them from your list until they join, because history shows that most people are going to join you between the 5th and the 12th exposure to your business, okay? So you want to add them to your list, and then next to their names, you're going to want to put 12 columns. Okay, because we're going to keep track of each and every outreach that you have each time you invite them to an event or you send them information on new product. You're going to want to make a little check mark so that you know where you're at in the process of getting them through your funnel. Another thing that's, I think, really helpful is finding a system that works for you. When I joined, I was really disorganized. I had, names of prospects in different journals. I had them in notebooks. I had them in on sticky notes, in my phone, on an Excel spreadsheet, and it was just a mess. And it really made recruiting much more time consuming. So I found a system that works for me. I like to just use a Google document. I know that other people love to just still use pen and paper and have a journal specifically for recruiting. And then others find software really helpful. I know there's a system called Teamzy that a lot of people use and love it because it keeps track of all your prospects. It creates a to-do list of who to reach out to. You can keep track of notes in there. I know it's a small fee, a nominal fee, to be able to be a part of that. But if you like that sort of system, Teamzy works really well. Another thing is that home-based business does not mean homebound. So you need to get out and network on purpose. Join a book club, join a gym, get more involved in, your kid's school. I have a ladies bunco group I'm a part of. So find places to go where you're going to meet people and make new contacts. Facebook friend them, get their contact information. Whether or not you have a big network existing doesn't matter. This business creates an even playing field. If you don't know the story of Laura Banger and Adrienne Watley, they're two of Rodan & Field's RFX Circle Achievers and, top earners. Well, they came from a teeny, tiny town in Mississippi, and the mom and 4 sisters are all Rodan & Field's consultants. And the median income, I think, in this town was something like $26,000 a year. And all girls were homeschooled. So imagine trying to build a business when you're competing with your other family members in a very tiny town. And they have been able to do that by getting out of their existing neighborhood and building relationships through social media. So let's talk next about reaching out and connecting with people, okay? You want to reach out and connect before you start sharing any information about your business. And so when you're reaching out to people, I want you to think about this. Before you send any message to anybody on this list, I want you to imagine yourself, maybe being out shopping and bumping into them, at the store. Or maybe you're out to dinner and you bump into them at dinner. Is what you're saying to them the same as what you would say to them in person? And if it's not, then you need to tweak it, okay? So what I was doing wrong in the beginning was I was sending an email to people. And, some of these people I hadn't talked to in a little while, right? And I was sending out this email that was a full page, okay? Virtually raise your hand if you have done this, okay? So I would send out this email and I would be like, hey, Julie, long time no talk. How are you? Listen, I wanted to reach out to you. I don't know if you saw on Facebook, but I recently joined Rodan & Fields, the doctors that created Proactive, and it would literally go on and on for 5 paragraphs. Where I would talk about the brand, I would talk about the product, I would talk about how to get started, I would talk about all the press. I was going on and on. And nobody was even responding to these emails, okay? And I'll tell you what, if I bumped into that same person at Target, would I say all that? Would I stand in the aisle and talk for 10, 15 minutes giving a presentation? Of course not. So I realized I gotta stop doing that. Like, I cannot do that. So the reach out and connecting with people is simple, okay? Now I'm gonna give you two different approaches. One is a direct approach and the other is indirect. Now this is just loose language that you can tweak so that it feels comfortable and feels like you, okay? But it goes something like this, hey, Sue, how are you? Listen, I'm reaching out to you for a reason. What's your schedule look like this week? I'd love to set up a time to talk, or I'd love to set up a time to meet for coffee. I want to share something with you. I recently launched a new business, or, I'm working on a project, or, my business is expanding in your market, something to that effect. And, I want to fill you in on what I've got going on. The timing may or may not be right for you, but I'm really excited. And I think you would be perfect for this. So I think it's something that you're going to want to take a look at. That's it. When can you talk? Okay. Or the indirect approach. This approach is what Rose used with me when she contacted me. Again, Rose knew I was super busy, that I was running 4 companies at the time. I had 3 babies in diapers. So she really, quite honestly, did not think I was going to be interested, but she knew I knew a lot of people. So she said, hey, Stace, she called me and she said, how is everything? Long time no talk. And we caught up for a couple of minutes. How are you? And, I talked about the kids. I talked about my business. I asked her how she was doing, and she informed me that she had been downsized. And then she said, I recently launched a business, and that's why I'm reaching out to you. I've always respected you. You've done really well in your career, and I know you're really well connected. And I wanted to share with you what I'm doing to see if you might know somebody that would be a good fit for what I'm looking for. Are you free to meet for coffee this week? It would be great to catch up and see you. And I said, sure, let's meet for coffee tomorrow. And we met for coffee. And she shared her why with me. And she shared just a couple of little details about Rodan & Fields, not much, okay? And it intrigued me because she said a couple of things to me that really caught my attention. And one was that, she had lost her job to no fault of her own. Her company downsized. They restructured. And she said, I don't ever want to be in that position again. I don't want to put my family's financial future in the hands of the guy in the corner office. And what struck me, what resonated with that was that, Chris, my husband, he was his own boss. He owned his own business. He was a real estate developer and a builder. And the economy had just crashed and we were quickly losing everything. Okay. We were hemorrhaging money at this point. So we not only didn't have any money coming in, but we were losing everything, our retirement fund, our kids' college fund. And so although my family's financial future was not in the hands of the guy in the corner office, it was in the hands of the economy. So that connected. And another thing that she said that connected with me was that she was able to work this business from anywhere. And she could work as little or as much as she wanted. And she had control over her income. That this was a passive residual income. And she was going to get paid on what she started. And I loved that because with my businesses, I had to trade time for money. And if I didn't bring on a new client, if I didn't book that job, I didn't get paid. And I couldn't work from anywhere. I had to work from behind a desk. And so the fact that she was going to build a business that gave her time freedom to do what she wanted when she wanted was really intriguing for me. So at that point, she invited me, to learn more. So she shared her why. That was it. And then from there, she invited me to learn more. Now, when you're developing your reason why, you're going to focus on 4 things. The first, what did you do before? Okay. So what you did before is whatever. You were a teacher or you're a pharmaceutical rep. Or in my case, I was an entrepreneur. Rose's case, she was a VP of sales. What'd you like about it? Well, what I liked about my job was that I was my own boss. I loved being an entrepreneur. Okay. But what I didn't like about it, and I love the beauty industry. Okay. Those were the two things I loved, the beauty industry and being my own boss. But what was missing was the ability to earn unlimited income. I was never going to probably make much more than I was making at the time. I was kind of at the height of my career. I was definitely missing time freedom. I was working 70 hours a week and I was sacrificing time with my new babies to build this business, right? Security. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a lot of security. But again, who does, right? So I kind of just kept plugging along in my business thinking, well, this is all I have. And purpose, I didn't really have a huge purpose. I mean, I was sending freelancers out to the stores to help the companies make more money. And I was sending hair and makeup people out to weddings and helping brides look beautiful, but I didn't really have any sense of purpose. I wasn't changing anybody's life, So what was missing? You might only have one of those things. I just happen to have 4 that were missing in my life. What attracted you to this type of business? Well, for me, what attracted me was the ability to work the business in part-time hours initially, because I couldn't walk away from my other jobs. Those were paying my bills. So it attracted me that I could set my own schedule, work from where I wanted, and I could still be an entrepreneur. But I didn't have to do all the heavy lifting. Rodan & Fields was going to give me the website. They were going to ship the product. They were going to take care of all the legal stuff and all the PR. And all I had to focus on was what I loved, which was sharing an amazing business, an amazing product, and mentoring people and helping them build their business. That's what I loved. I didn't love managing people with my previous career, but I'll tell you, I love mentoring people. And what has it done, or what do you think it will do for your life? If you're early into this business and you haven't achieved a lot of success yet, what do you think it's going to do? Use the stories of people within Rodan & Fields that have already been successful and have achieved things that you want. Maybe your goal is to, give back to the charities you love. So use Sarah Robbins. She just opened up her 3rd orphanage in India. Okay. Maybe it is to be able to be home and be present for your kids. Maybe it is to be able to build, an income for retirement so that you don't have to work for, 30, 40 more years. For me, I really wanted to be able to retire my husband and have him join me in this business so that we could build a business around our family. So you're going to create your why, and you want to keep this to 90 seconds or less, ideally, okay? And write it down, practice it, and get really fluent with sharing it. So then if they're interested, okay, you're going to share your why with them. And if they're interested in learning more about what it is you do, you're going to send them some information. You are not going to be the person to share what it is. Okay, you can share that it's Rodan & Fields, but you're not going to be the person that's going to give the presentation. You are only responsible to share your why and invite them to learn more. So what are you going to send them? Excuse me. You're going to send them a third-party tool, something that's short and sweet, that gives them an overview. So I have a 10-minute audio that you can share with them. You could share, the doctor's video. But just send them something that gives them an overview of the business, the products, the brand, okay? And then when you send that info to them, you're going to say, listen, if I send you this 10-minute audio, will you take a listen? Of course, they're going to say yes. Say, okay, great. When do you think you're going to have time to take a listen? Because I'd love to just set up a follow-up call, because I know you're going to have some questions and I want to get those answered for you to help you determine if timing is right for this. So then you're going to go ahead and you're going to set up a call, okay? And you're going to want to have your calendar open, and you're going to want to have the calendar of your upline open. They should have a digital calendar available to you so that you can just click and you can schedule that, okay? If you don't feel comfortable setting up the 3-way call, okay, then what you can do is regardless, you're going to say to them, okay, even if you are the one setting up the call, you're going to say, hey, if it's okay with you, I would love to connect you and I and my business partner on Facebook. I am. So you can get to know Rose as well, or whoever your upline is. And then Rose or whoever your upline is going to reach out when you set up that I am on Facebook and just say, hey, Julie, nice to meet you. What do you do? And they're going to start a little dialogue, and they're going to start to create, start a conversation going here. So if you're not able or feeling comfortable setting up that closing call, you can have your upline do that. Just message them and say, hey, I'm going to introduce you right now on Facebook to my prospect. And could you start the conversation of setting up a call to answer questions? And then they can help you with that. Okay. But when you do the Facebook I am, here's what I want you to do. You're going to introduce your prospect to your upline by saying, hey, Rose, I want to introduce you to my friend Julie. She and I went to college together. She is the mom of 3 young boys, and she lives in our hometown of, whatever. And she recently stepped away from her career as, pharmaceutical rep because she didn't want to have to be, traveling so much and be away from the kids. But I know she misses having, that extra income, so I was thinking that this would be amazing for her because she is super connected. She's very driven, very motivated, and she can totally do this in part-time hours around the boys. And then you're going to say, Julie, I want to introduce you to Rose, my business partner. She's the one that introduced me to Rodan and Fields, and she has been instrumental at helping me build this business. And I know she would do the same with you. And so I wanted to connect her to you so that she can also help answer whatever questions you have. Okay. So now once you set up that 3-way call, what you want to do is you're going to call your upline. If you're on a iPhone, once you call your upline and they answer the phone, if you look at your screen, you're going to see a button that says add call. You're going to simply click add call. You're going to call your prospect. And once she answers the phone, you're going to say, hey, Julie, it's Stace. Hey, listen, let me merge, Rose in. And then you're going to click merge calls. And you're going to have all people on the phone. And you're going to say, Rose, you there? Great. I've got Julie on the phone. Rose, again, I know you know a little bit about Julie, but just really quick, blah, blah, blah. And then Julie, Rose is my partner. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mute the phone because I want Rose to share her quick story with you. And I don't want there to be any background noise. So you're going to mute, and your upline is going to take over at this point. And she's going to say, hey, Julie, let me, asking a couple questions about Julie. Julie is the most important person on the call. So she's going to share a little bit. Julie's going to share a little bit. Rose is going to ask her some questions. And then from there, Rose is going to share, or your upline is going to share her story, okay, her personal why. And then she's going to say, so what intrigues you about, what intrigued you about what you heard in the audio that, Stacy sent you? Or, tell me what's going on with your life, kind of getting them to open up about their why they might be interested. And then Rose will answer questions. Now, at this point, Julie's already heard a 10-minute audio. So she already knows the background and all the information about the product. You're not going to go through all that on the closing call, all right? Rose, or your upline, sorry, I keep saying Rose, is going to help answer questions, is going to help overcome objections, and is going to help them understand how they're going to get started, what it takes, and how we're going to help them get there, okay? How we're going to help them be successful. So now, I want you to realize that when you're inviting people, okay, when you're doing these calls, you want to feel comfortable reaching out to people because honestly, being afraid of rejection is selfish, you guys. Like, we should want to help people get off of that financial treadmill that they're on. So just emotionally detach from the outcome. Just know that only 2% of people that you reach out to on the first time are going to actually join you. Okay, only 2%. So just know it's going to take some time, and Be passionate. Your enthusiasm is what's going to be really contagious. I'll tell you what, my posture from day one was extremely confident. I was so excited when I reached out to people. I specifically had somebody join me in this business who said to me, listen, like, I don't even know what it is exactly that you're doing, but I have known you a long time and I have never seen you this excited about anything. So clearly it's good. Sign me up. Like, it was so funny, but it really does make a difference. And, you know, think about, you know, don't live your life by what other people think, what you think they're going to think of you for doing direct sales. Because I'll tell you what, once they realize what this is, they're going to think you were super smart to have jumped in, and they're going to want to be a part of this. And this is not a 6th grade lunchroom, okay? Who cares what other people think about what it is we're doing in this business? I'll tell you, they just don't understand it. They don't know what it is. They're not educated. It's our job to educate them, right? They're not paying your mortgage. They're not paying for your kids' college. So who really cares what they think or if they think this business is a good fit for you, okay? So people that you're reaching out to are going to really fit into three basic places in our business. 1, they're going to be interested in joining in the business. 2, they're going to be interested in buying the product. Or 3, they're going to give you some referrals. But keep in mind, say less to more people. The less you say, the more you make, okay? So your job is not to convince people. It's not to talk people into joining you. It is simply to share and educate them, right? Because if what's going to happen is if you have to convince somebody to join you in the business, you're going to have to convince them to work the business, okay? So let's talk about follow-up, okay? 44, this is not just in Rodan Fields, and it's not just in direct sales. This is proven within all sales. 44% of reps give up with a prospect after hearing them say no one time. 22% of reps give up after hearing the prospect say no 2 times. 14% after 3 times. 12% of reps give up after the prospect said no 4 times. And 80% of reps give up after hearing no 5 times. So that leaves 8% of consultants, and they're going to get 80% of the business if they follow the system that we have of following up between 5 and 12 times, okay? That's what it's going to take, 5 and 12 exposures before they join you. And, you know, a couple of years ago, we were doing a recruiting incentive, and I was getting a lot of feedback from the team. Nobody wants to join me. Nobody wants to buy anything. I'm reaching out to everybody on my list. And I said, well, how many times did you reach out to them? And they said once or maybe twice, you know. And I said, okay. I went onto Facebook, onto Team Up, and I posted, and I said, guys, I want all of you to comment below and think back to how many times you approximately were exposed to Rodan and Fields and how long of a period of time before you joined. And hundreds of you responded back that it took many, 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 many times. 5 times, 6 times, 8 times, 10 times. And some of you had focused or had spent years. You know, I just recently had somebody join me who was one of the very first people who I reached out to 8 years ago. And it was the night when I posted the photos from Elizabeth Long and Molly Archibald's Lexus event. They had amazing stories, and I shared their stories and the photo. And it was that night that she saw those 2 stories and she reached out to me. So, you know, you've got to think about creative ways to follow up and to stay in touch with people. It's not just messaging them over and over and over saying, oh, hey, just thinking about you. Have you changed your mind yet? Are you ready to join me in the business? No, you have to change up what you're exposing them to. So I like to send out new information when we're launching a new product. I send them information when there's an enrollment incentive. I follow up when we have an event coming. I'll tell you what, if you have an event and you can invite them, it provides social proof to them that if all these people in the room can do it, they can do it. They're hearing different stories of people that come from various different backgrounds. And you know what? You're going to gain strength from that presentation. They're going to see it and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, there's positive peer pressure in the room because everybody's excited. Everybody's like, rah, rah. You know, you want them to feel that sense of community. Invite them to a skincare soiree or a BBL, right? So you want to constantly be giving them new information. Share stories of people that come from similar backgrounds as them. You know, I have somebody who is my new neighbor who I adore, and she moved to Austin. Her significant other, her boyfriend, whatever, he was a professional NFL player, and he was injured, and he's not currently able to play ball anymore. And so I shared the story of Crystal Archie and Michael Archie. They're now legacy achievers, $1 million earners. And so I shared that story because I know that that's going to resonate with her. Okay. So fortune is in the follow-up, you guys. Let's talk about the 80-20 rule. 20% of your team is going to do 80% of your business. You're looking for runners. Okay. So let's consider a runner a gold bar. Okay. And stats show it takes about 100 people that you recruit into this business for you to find your, 3 runners. Sometimes you're going to find them early on, okay? Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but on average, it takes about 100 people. But they're out there, you guys. Your 3 runners are out there. No different than if I told you there are 3 bars of gold buried in your backyard, you're going to dig however long, however deep till you find them, right? Because you know they're there. And the same thing with runners. They're out there. So you just have to keep talking to more people. But let me tell you, when you start recruiting people, you're going to have a lot of people that do a little bit. And you're going to have a lot of people that do nothing. And why is that? I don't know. I've had people join me in this business who have bought a $9.95 kit and they've gone into the witness protection program before they've even had their first training. There's a lot of different reasons. And we're going to get into that in another training. But here's the stats. Okay, if you recruit 20 people, 12 will actually do something in this business. Okay, so they're going to do at least 600 a month or more. Okay, they're going to be at EC or more. After 90 days, that's going to scale down to 8 people. You're going to still have 8 people that are effectively working this business. 4 will still be with you after 1 year. And after 3 to 5 years, you're only going to have 2 of the original 20 still on board. Keep in mind, you guys, the people that get you to level 5 are never the ones that keep you at level 5. That's why recruiting is so important. You have to constantly be building. I spend 80% of my time recruiting. All of you should be spending at least 80% of your time recruiting, especially early in this business. So it comes down to really 4 reasons why people are going to join you. 1, they have to like and trust you. And that does not mean they have to have known you for any significant amount of time. They just have to have had a good impression on your first meeting. So it could be somebody that you just met on LinkedIn, but they have that initial like and trust factor. 2, they have to have a reason why. And again, it's a little skill set that you're going to learn as you're in the business, helping people peel back their onion and determine what their reason why is. 3, timing has to be right. All right. Everybody has a 12 o'clock noon, and the 12 o'clock noon is when timing is right for them to join you in this business. And that's why follow-up is so critical, you guys, because most times we're not reaching out to the person when it's 12 o'clock noon. It's 6 a.m., it's 9 a.m., it's 2 p.m., it's midnight. Timing isn't right for them. But when the clock strikes 12, for whatever reason for them, maybe they just got downsized, maybe they're going through divorce, maybe they just found out they're pregnant, they want to, leave their job, whatever. You want to make sure that you are there and at top of mind when the clock strikes 12. And if you only reached out to that person once or twice and you're not continuing to follow up with them, well, their next door neighbor who's having a BBL is going to get them if they happen to be at their house at 12 noon. Okay, so you've got to follow up. And then lastly, they've got to have the confidence they're going to be successful. because nobody wants to drop $6.95, $9.95, whatever on a business kit if they think they're going to fail. So it's critical that you are following the system, because training for your new consultant starts the day you reach out to them about this business. Everything you do duplicates, and they're watching what you're doing and they're thinking, can I do what she's doing? Can I do what she's doing? And if you're simply sharing your why, yes, they can do that. If you're simply forwarding a 10-minute audio for them to listen to, yes, they can do that. If you're introducing them to your upline and having your upline do a call, yes, they can do that, right? And then your upline is going to share with them that this is a very simple, very easily duplicatable system if they just follow the steps we just took them through, right? Now, I've been in the business, and some of you have been in the business long enough to do all of this yourself. I can share the business. I can overcome objections, but that's not the point. I need to show them that they can do this by following some simple steps. That's why this system is so important, you guys. So this is one of my favorite quotes. It's from Jim Rohn. And this is what I had on my dream board when I first joined. We must all suffer one of two pains, pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The difference is discipline weighs ounces while regret weighs tons. And what that means is you've got to give up something right now to make time for Rodan and Fields. We're all working with the same 24 hours a day, right? And we're all super busy. We were able to fill the 24 hours before we joined Rodan and Fields with other stuff. So it's not like we have extra time. We have to make it. So when I joined, every single minute of every single day, I had to make a decision. Oh, I've got an extra half an hour right now. Do I want to take a nap, or do I want to work my Rodan and Fields business? Do I want to watch Kardashians, or do I want to focus on reach outs? Do I want to go out to dinner with my husband right now, or do I want to work the business? I had to give up certain things in the beginning, and it was painful. There were times when I wanted to be with my kids, but I figured, okay, you know what? My babies are young enough. They're not going to truly care if it's dad holding them and putting them down for a nap, or my nanny, or my mother, or me, right? The babies didn't really know any better, but I knew long term I would regret not taking the time to go work my business so that I could be with them in kindergarten when they would realize mommy is not here for mystery reader. Mommy's not on the field trip. So I had to deal with the pain of discipline at the time instead of being regretful when they were older. This business, you are able to condense a 30-year career into 3 to 5 years, all right? Because of the way that the business model works. Passive residual income comes from hustle income, you guys. It's real. Passive residual income is real, okay? But it's real work too. You've got to do the work to get there. You cannot avoid the work, period. And you know what? There is no difference between you and any of the top earners in Rodan and Fields, but no one is going to want this for you more than you want it for yourself. This is all an even playing field. It doesn't matter where you come from, how big your network is, what level of experience you have in sales or beauty. None of that matters. All that matters is how bad do you want it. And let me tell you, it's simple, but it's not easy, right? Because you got to hear a lot of no's before you're going to hear yeses. It's an emotional roller coaster, but that's okay, you guys. That's okay. The universe is going to test you and you're going to want to give up, but trust me, you don't want to give up. The only thing you have to keep doing is sharing, okay? And you've got what it takes. You've got what it takes, but it's going to take everything you've got. Love you guys.